But cricket must have done something very, very correct to reach where it has come. But do not forget that about 100 years ago, cricket was exactly where golf is. In India, I'm talking about. Cricket was played by Maharajas. Cricket was played by Nawabs. So how did cricket grow? Cricket grew only when it went to the streets, when it went to the B grade cities or C grade cities. If you want golf to grow, you have to take this elitism out of golf. You can have one clubhouse where the white flanneled, blue blazer like this, they can all go and sit down and have a drink. But as far as a golf ground is concerned, it should be have certain amount of accessibility to a lot of people. It's a fallacy to think that the rich and powerful will grow the game. No. Rich and powerful will grow their own empire, their own power. It is the middle class which gets the numbers.
Good morning, everyone. We want to welcome Wing Commander Arun Kumar Singh. Multifaceted, so there's a lot of introduction that I can give about him. The ex-DG of IGU, one of the main bodies of golf. Right now, the president of Golfers, Greenkeepers, Superintendent and Managers of India. But more importantly, somebody who has actually been 40 plus years in the game of golf and has seen the whole journey. A man who I've never got bored while discussing and talking about this game, and abundance of knowledge and facets. So welcome, sir, to this podcast. Thank you so much for being part of our episode. We would start with the fact that you've seen this game from the conceptual to now, and it's always been so much fun. So let's talk of some very interesting stories of the way you have seen it from your point of view and how you feel. And I've always seen you, even after this, being so much passionate about this sport.
Thank you, Amit, for the introduction firstly. Of course, you made it sound as if I have done nothing except golf. That's not true. I have done other things too, including earning a living. But yes, it is true that golf has become almost a prime part of my life. For maybe last 20-25 years, I have done various roles in golf. As far as you're talking about the passion and the game, I personally feel golf suffers from one problem in India, that is having no respect for its history. And as Captain Littleheart said, those who do not respect history live to be condemned by it.
So it's very interesting, right? And so let's go back to the history. Let's talk about golf in India, right? Because that's what we want to bring it out to people. Because there's so much myth about this sport, and it seems some people will say, oh, it's just something started a few years back. Right?
Okay, I'll give you an interesting snippet on that. Golf in India is far older than golf in USA. It's far older than golf in Australia.
Very interesting.
And what is also interesting is cricket in USA is older than cricket in India.
Wow, sir. I don't think anybody's aware. So you could kind of elaborate a bit.
So, as far as golf started in the world, it started from the eastern coast of Scotland. The first courses came there. Even in the mainland of England, the first courses came only in 1860s. And the Calcutta Golf Club had been opened in 1829, which became the first golf course to be opened outside British Isles.
Wow. And we call Ireland as the mother of...
No,
Scotland.
Scotland is definitely the mother of golf. There's no two ways about it. Golf probably started as a street game across the eastern coast of Scotland in Netherlands. Most probably there's a game called Goof, which used to be played on the streets. And from there, it seems to have transferred to Scotland. But the way we see golf today, it actually started in Scotland. So Scotland is definitely the mother of golf. As we
So
know
we
today.
added the legs to the goof,
Yeah.
and we made it golf.
Yeah.
And so that's very interesting. So we are saying that, like today, the literally everything in golf is US, right? Because the scale at which it's grown there. But we're saying golf actually after England was in India.
Yes, you
And
should.
while you said something interesting, that cricket actually was the other way around, right?
Yes, because some Englishmen went to US before they came to India, and there's also a connection with the East India Company about golf in India. When East India Company came to India, there were not too many Britishers there at that time, but about 54% of people who worked for East India Company in India were from Scotland. They were Scottish descent, and if you see, all the administrators of that time were primarily Scottish. You had English, at the higher end, and you also had Irish and the Welsh in the army. So the Scottish guys were the administrators. They are the ones who were involved in land reforms, revenue records, and things like that. And if you see the growth of game in India, it also followed the growth the way Robert Clive when conquering India. So it is Madras Presidency and Calcutta Presidency. That is where the golf really actually grew in India.
So wherever they put their base in, they started with golf, and then cricket happened much later.
See, after Madras Presidency, the Britishers went to Calcutta Presidency and they established themselves as a big trading hub. And since they became a big trading hub, and you had tea gardens and you had certain mining, etc. So you, apart from Calcutta and Bengal, you also had a lot of golf courses in Assam because of the tea gardens. You also had certain amount of golf courses in the present-day Jharkhand. For example, a place called Ghatshila, which has got a 18-hole golf course, which is more than 100 years old. And I can lay a bet that very few people in Delhi know even where Ghatshila exists.
Correct. And I got to know recently, sir, that if you were to look at the state which has the maximum number of golf courses, I think Assam is
Yes,
up
sir.
there, right?
Yeah,
Which
sir.
I think a lot of people would not even consider when they talk of.
If I'm not wrong, Assam even today has got 33 golf courses. Most of them are small golf courses, most of them are tea garden golf courses, but they have 33 golf courses. Most of them are now in disrepair, not being used. In my view, they should have been used to introduce their own people who are working in the tea gardens to play this game of golf. But unfortunately, every golf course of those days had a clubhouse. And the moment you have a clubhouse, then you have gentlemen versus others.
Right. So then, sir, let's get into the future, right? So it's very exciting, and actually, I think somewhere we lost touch with the sport, which probably came here much before other parts, and for maybe economic reasons and whatever reasons, it got picked up in other countries. How did the sport finally, as per you, grew over the last 1829 to now? But where did you feel that is? Why did it still is talked about in certain parts of India, not across? Because end of the day, if we were to follow Robert Clive's journey, then he pretty much went all over the country, right? Why did it stay within a few states, and still it's talked more about few states?
See, I think there are two reasons for it. I mean, we talk about cricket a lot, but cricket also grew even in British times faster than what it grew faster than what golf grew in British times. And there was more participation for cricket among Indians than this, because primarily, I think in late 19th century, the Parsis of Bombay started playing cricket. So there's a Parsi cricket club. There's no instance where there was an Indian golf club. Okay. So there was no Indian golf club. You only had golf clubs which were Britishers. In fact, the Royal Calcutta, just to clarify one more thing. People think Royal Calcutta Golf Course, the one which is there in Ballygunge now, is the oldest golf club in India. Factually, it is not true. The Calcutta Golf Club is definitely the oldest. It was not royal that time. But Calcutta Golf Club began in Dum Dum.
Oh, okay.
And then went to Maidan, then went back to Dum Dum, and then came to Ballygunge. So it has shifted its place a number of times. And it became royal only when King George V came in 1912. And incidentally, there were two more royal golf courses in India. The Bombay was a Royal Bombay, and there was a golf course in Nasik, which was Royal Western India. So there were three royal golf courses.
Sort of knighted when the king visited.
Visited.
Okay, very interesting.
So, and those two are no longer exist. Royal Calcutta exists, and Royal Calcutta in the 20th century, in 20th century, before the British left, was also the hub of RNA. It almost represented RNA in the Indian subcontinent, Burma, Ceylon, and Singapore. So it was almost the mini RNA for this area. And in 1955, James Esplin, who became a captain of Royal Calcutta later, he also became president of IGU later. James Esplin went after people that we need to have an Indian Golf Union. By that time, Kenya, etc. had a golf union, but India did not have it. Kenya had a golf union before India, though the independence is almost simultaneous. 47, 48 is when the colonies became independent. So in 1955, with the concurrence of BPGC, Wellington Golf Club, Madras, Calcutta, and Delhi Golf Club, they formed the Indian Golf Union.
Okay.
And A.D. Vickers, who was the captain of Royal Calcutta at that time, became the first president of IGU also.
So very interesting. So obviously, I understand 1829, and then we must have got also into the struggle and stuff. So 1955 is, I would say, when the golf in India started. When we actually started, I'm saying the current scenario when we say the Indian Golf Union got formed, right?
No, not exactly, because Amateur Golf Championship of India, which is probably the oldest amateur championship in the world, started in Calcutta Golf Club, not Royal Calcutta. Calcutta Golf Club in 1892. And in people from Ceylon, Burma, Singapore, other golf clubs of India, they came and played there. Until 1949, there was not a single Indian winner of Indian All India Championship, which is called All India Championship later, the Amateur Golf Championship of India. In 1949, Mohinder Bal became the first Indian to become the champion of India. That time, there was no professional golf. So whoever won the All India was called the champion of India.
Wow. So we were talking about this Amateur World Series, the way it was happening till 1949. In India, and then we've made it the Indian Amateur Series. So I've always believed that sports is something which brings everybody together. So it's very interesting, as you said, the RNA of this part of the world was India, and sport went up. Then we brought the amateur story, and that's how the amateur grew. Congratulations to the first winner, Mohinder Bal, for winning it and then building that sport up, right? Every sport needs some sort of these milestone moments, right? Like I'm sure his win made it the India Amateur Stories, which is now the biggest thing that happens. How did the story then get evolved, right? Did we continue? Did that create a milestone, or it just kind of, fizzled out because that was also the era when we were coming out of independence and we had other things and other focus areas?
I think when we talk about amateur golf in India during the British days, obviously it was a British sport, and a lot of clubs did not allow non-Europeans. Incidentally, this was true even in PGA of America till 1963. Non-Europeans could not play PGA events. And there's a guy called Count Yogi who was not allowed because he was of mixed parentage. Probably the greatest golfer the world has not seen. So you had the similar background here. India had so-called majors. You had the All India Amateur Championship, which I talked about, Mohinder Bal. There was a Northern India Championship, which used to be played in Gulmarg. Incidentally, Mr. I.S. Malik won it in 1925 or 6 or something like that. When he was not allowed to play, but one Englishman allowed, made sure that he played, and he went and played. He was on a business visit, and he became the first winner of an Indian major championship. Mr. I.S. Malik is Mr. Ashok Malik's father, former captain of Royal Calcutta, president of Indian Golf Union, both father and son. Both father and son played for the same Indian team in Eisenhower Trophy also.
So it's very interesting. So there's so much that is there, right? But what happened between 1940 or 1950 when you said the Indian Golf Union got made? And then I believe more associations got formed over a period of time. We became professional golfers. But where did the sport take off from between the 1950 to the 2000 at least? The era when the sport should have also grown.
I think 1955 was a very important moment for India because the golf actually got a little spread out in India because there were 7 golf courses which came together, which were major golf courses. Slowly more golf clubs joined. So it became Indian Golf Union. It was the Union of Indian Golf Clubs. And some of the early presidents, I.S. Malik, H.S. Malik, etc. were there. Incidentally, in my personal opinion, there is one person who's not known in India, in Indian golf, he's known in business circles, is a person called Colonel Leslie Sahni, who became the first person outside Calcutta and Delhi to become the president of IGU in 1962. Colonel Leslie Sahni was director of Taj Mahal Hotel. He's on the board of Tata Sons, and he became president of Indian Golf Union. Very forward-looking man. He divided the golf into zones, West Zone, North Zone, South Zone, I think. He made zonal councils, which sooner or later, in my personal view, many may not agree, he was probably the most forward-looking and the greatest president of Indian Golf Union. There's a lot of competition on the other side of the spectrum. But in my opinion...
Let's talk on the positive side. So he was one of the guys who turned the game around.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Leslie Sahni gave up office in 1964. He died in 1966. He's thought to have been the future chairman of Tata Sons. And incidentally, when we're talking about history some time back, a few years ago, I went to BPGC and I wanted to have some information on Colonel Leslie Sahni. No one seemed to know about him. And in their hall there, in the lobby, you can see 2 boards, Colonel Leslie Sahni Memorial Trophy winners.
So the irony of life. But that's, so he was trying to build it. He brought it into Northeast West Zone, which is now we see a lot of that happening. But then where do you think when the sport started to, because now we talk of this leagues, right? We're going to be coming into the whole end of the day, we're talking of the QGL. The league is something which is now trying to build the same story back, right? Right. So it's like we're trying to revive that old story where now you find some matches happening between North, South, East, West. It's still very early days, but what I am understanding from you, sir, is a lot of that was happening and happening at a much before time than now. So where do you think is where the sport started to lose its space or the dwindle, or it just became into a corridor?
I think first let's talk about the wins. Yeah. I think by 1960s, professional golf, professional tennis, etc. had become more fashionable. And in India, it was only an amateur body, Indian Golf Union. Indian Golf Union should be given the credit for starting a professional golf association of India. It was started by Indian Golf Union, and by early 70s, India had a professional circuit. And there's a Englishman called Phil Pilling, who I give a lot of credit for making that tournament popular. And there were people, business houses like Wills. Before the Tatas, the Indian Golf Union in Calcutta was housed inside Tata House.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Courtesy Mr. Rusi Modi. And you also had Wills sponsoring the Wills Indian Tour. You had Phil Pilling, you had Basad Ali. And this was essentially, for quite some time, it was run by Indian Golf Union. Then they gave it away to Professional Golf Association, professional golfers. And that tour continued till 2000s. And in 2000s, professionals had a dispute, and the players thought that they were not getting their due, just like what happened in US PGA and PGA of America. And they formed Professional Golf Tour of India,
which is the PGTI.
Which is PGTI now. And then I think in 2007, Women's Golf Association of India was also formed for professional golf. Coming to Women's Golf Association, I personally feel one flaw which has been there in those all initial days of amateurism or professional golf, etc. Women's golf was not taken so seriously. For example, in 1963, Peter Thompson came and he convinced Indian Golf Union to start an Indian Open, have an Open of their own. And Peter Thompson is responsible for making that tournament popular. Initially there was not enough money. He came and participated. He was a British Open winner and multiple times winner of British Open. He came and he became a multiple time winner of Indian Open. He participated as a star. He also got his friends to come and play. So Indian Open came in, but for all 50 years of Indian Open, it remained Indian Men's Open. There was no Indian Women's Open. So I personally feel that's a flaw which Indian Golf Union was responsible for. I personally feel it has got something to do with gender.
So that delayed the whole.
Yes, absolutely. It is only when WGI came in that you started having a Hero Indian Women's Open, sponsored by Hero, of course, now for many years. But I think you had a Women's Amateur Championship of India from 1907.
But so we've had the women.
Yes.
I thought the women weren't.
No, in Calcutta, in early 20th century, Calcutta Ladies Club was formed. Okay. Lady Kurjan was the patron of that. I mean, she was a member of that. And they also played a All India Championship for women. So there was a women's golf history was there. Thiru Fernando from Sri Lanka, for example, was a multiple time winner of that. But as far as Indian Golf Union is concerned, I personally feel it's a blot on them that they had a PGAI, they did something for men's professional golf, but they did nothing for women's professional golf for next 50 years.
Anyway, sir, I think that's something which happened, but finally we have a great women's, and we see a lot of women golfers happening. So coming to now, right, sir? So today, you see how the era has changed, right? And it's great. Not only it's about ladies, as we're seeing youngsters, kids, everyone's coming in. You've seen this whole history, and you are somebody who studied the game of golf so well. And it's going to be very important for us to understand. Where do you think is it? Where are we going? Where are we going to change this game? And also, more and more it's important for outdoor sports to come back, with the kind of digital that kids are getting in. So where do you think, and with your learning, because all roads come from, they say bylanes of history. So where are we, and where is this lanes finally taking us?
I think you have answered the question there itself. It has to come from the bylanes of history. And it has to come from the bylanes of history of other successful sports also. It's very easy to berate cricket, but cricket must have done something very, very correct to reach where it has come. But do not forget that about 100 years ago, cricket was exactly where golf is. In India, I'm talking about. Cricket was played by Maharajas, cricket was played by Nawabs, and you had a lot of these things. For example, the first Indian team which went abroad, Colonel C.K. Naidu was the tallest cricketer that time in India. But the team was captained by Maharaja of Porbandar, who was gracious enough to sit down on the test and let C.K. Naidu captain. You had an incident of Maharaja Vijayanagaram and Lala Amarnath. You had in 1946, Vijay Merchant was the most well-known cricketer. And when we went to England, it is Nawab Iftikhar Ali Khan of Patodi who was made the captain. So we had a similar thing. You had Maharaja Patiala supporting cricket. You had Maharaja Vijayanagaram supporting cricket, etc. It was a white flannelled gentleman's game. So how did cricket grow? Cricket grew only when it went to the streets, when it went to the grade, B grade cities or C grade cities. If you want golf to grow, you have to take this elitism out of golf. You can have one clubhouse where the white flannelled, blue blazer like this, they can all go and sit down and have a drink. But as far as the golf ground is concerned, it should be have certain amount of accessibility to a lot of people. There's a fallacy in India, Indian Golf Union suffers from that, that golf in India can only be developed through clubs. It is like saying that cricket in the world can be played only in Brabourne Stadium or Lords. You cannot play cricket anywhere else. You have to find avenues, you have to find ways to take cricket out to the masses. May not be out to the masses. If you also see history of sport anywhere, in any sport, it is only when the middle class participation improves, the game grows. It's a fallacy to think that the rich and powerful will grow the game. No. Rich and powerful will grow their own empire, their own power. It is the middle class which gets the numbers. And everyone does not have to play golf. Everyone needs to be aware of what golf is. Everyone needs to be aware of how golf is played. You have to demystify this game, make it more accessible, whereas what the clubs do, and I'm not criticizing clubs. Clubs are an essential part of the ecosystem. But clubs are meant to look after their membership. Clubs are meant to have a group of people of similar interest, similar status to get together and give them firewalls. But that is something which actually hinders the game of growth of any game.
So I understand, and I fully agree in a lot of respect. But you also have to understand that the way cricket was played, you could play in Lords and Brabourne because this is like a circle elliptic. You need one ellipse and you can play out wherever on the road. Golf still has its facets, right? You still need the greens and the fairways. So what if I want to take it to the smaller cities, right? One, we obviously need a lot more like Qutab golf courses across the country, right? Which is a pay and play course. People can come in from various facets and play. So that every state should have. We've had that discussion a number of times. But where do you think even the smaller part, as you said, it's not about playing golf on the course. It's about getting to know it. That's what we've been doing in our venture, is that get the game out there. But how do you think is those small steps? Because I think it's, as you said very beautifully, 100 years back where cricket was, I'm hoping that we would evolve much faster. We would also have those moments of success like 83 World Cup and then IPL and various matches. Where do you think and how can we make small steps but concrete steps? Well, I don't think we have that time and space to wait another 100 years. But this sport is needed, right?
I think there are two things when we look at the governing bodies. Firstly, we must recognize that the days of amateur golf as elite golf are more or less over. Amateur golf is all about development of the game. So you got to have an amateur body which develops the game, which also develops other facets of the game, which also popularizes the game into different things. That's where I'm not in favor of clubs dominating the game so much, because clubs will tend to look at their own interests, and the biggest clubs are in biggest metro cities. So today, the biggest golf centers are NCR, Bangalore, Calcutta, and that's it. So how will they go to Kapurthala? Where Railways has got a golf course. And there are at least 100 golf courses in India. Everyone talks about army golf clubs, etc. and all that. But there are about 100 golf clubs in India which are not controlled by defense services and which are lying empty. So you have to find ways of using them which will be win-win for everything. It will be win-win for the golf club, it is win-win for the people, it's win-win for the game. Then you also have the professional bodies. You have WGAI and PGTI, both very, very good. And you also have PGAI, which is now essentially teaching professionals. You have to find a way by having all the skill set coming together. Amateur golf, professional tour, women's professional tour, teachers. They could be even referees, greenkeepers. They could be, rules officials. You got to find platforms for getting them together and taking them beyond grade A cities. I'm not suggesting anything revolutionary. I'm not saying that take them to Andaman and Nicobar, but take them to grade B cities, where there's a lot of affluence, people have time, distances are lesser, and there's a lot of enthusiasm. You go to East Point Golf Club in Visakhapatnam, which is again more than 100-year-old golf club. The members are much more enthusiastic about their club than an A-grade club. A-grade club will have more politics. B1 cities will have more, enthusiasm about taking their club higher and higher.
Loyalty to the club is much
more, 100%. Yeah.
So, sir, I fully agree. Like we went and saw the way Visakhapatnam has been. It's actually a course that people should look forward to. In fact, I just read something today morning that the amount of people that have traveled to Thailand for travel tourism in this last 1 year when the visa went down. There's an opportunity for people to travel, and golf course and golf resort is also something which tourism is going to grow. So I think that's definitely there. So, before we kind of come to a very informative session, very, very important thing I want to understand is that, the way this is growing, and now we see this whole league business happening, right? Various clubs are doing their own leagues in whichever form. Like you said, clubs have their own bandwidth. How do you think, and where do you think are this small effort of bringing this QGL is something? Is it again something which you feel is what is happening, or is there something different that why we are saying it that it's the most unique league in the country? Maybe it's because we're more passionately, it's like our baby. But how do you look at it?
Let's go back to what we were talking about some time back. You got to learn from the bylines of history of other sports, and we were talking about cricket because cricket resonates a lot with Indians. Now cricket also, you had an IPL, you also had an ICL, and now there are other sports around. In fact, today I think about more than 60% of the revenue in cricket in India is not controlled by BCCI anymore. So there's also a lesson. The so-called governing bodies must learn to let go. They are not the end-all of the world of golf. Whether it's Indian Golf Union, whether it's PGTI, whether it's WGI. They must learn to let go and collaborate with more people. As far as an idea like QGL is concerned, why it is unique? It is unique because it is not limited to a particular club. It is not restricted. It is not firewalled. So QGL, in my opinion, is a great idea to involve larger ecosystem. You get more people together. And just like any other league, whether it's a Kabaddi league or whether it's a cricket league or something like that, leagues tend to popularize the game much more. That's the trend. And perhaps this is what I think American football was. And so I think the QGL, the biggest learning from QGL is not limited to a golf club. It is not owned by a golf club. So it does not have the same kind of controlling mechanism. The economy and sports both thrive only when the democracy thrives. So when you have an autocracy, you can have some stars for some time, but they will not. So QGL, in my opinion, is the first democratic golf league. It's the first step.
Thanks for saying that. We also understand the challenges democracies are facing worldwide. We hope we don't have to go through those and we actually stay democratic. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. It's always great to have you with the kind of history and the information that you have, and seeking your best wishes for QGL. So thanks again for coming in. We should be having you soon. Okay. And thanks for being a part of our Apex as well and being an important aspect.
No, I think I should be thanking you for giving me this opportunity to talk. And I talk freely, as always. And I would also like to wish the league a lot of success, and I hope there are more and more leagues and more successful leagues, and hopefully there'll be no monopoly.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.